Hello. First, I think good afternoon. It's supposed to be good morning, but we're a little bit behind schedule. I'm only going to be with you for a few minutes of short time, but during this short time, I want to at least give you the appreciation about the importance of the topic of security, more specifically also sometimes referred to as cybersecurity, where physical security plays also an important role. I'm originally a mathematician, but I've been working in cyber for the last 24 years plus. Sometimes my friends tell me, so George, what do you do for a living? I usually sometimes tell them, I am your seatbelt. Most people, when they do things in the real world, they don't always realize the risks associated with performing these tasks. So it's my job to kind of remind them how to actually do these in a less risky way. So, what are the kinds of areas that we really need to address that are extremely important? And these are all the elements that I'm going to be covering. Lots of money has been lost in cryptocurrency, either through governance or through bad practice. People do not always understand the risks associated with this technology, whether it happens to be cryptocurrency or even blockchain or the combination of both, which sometimes today we refer as tokenization. And I'll try to highlight maybe some areas of controls or recommendations that you can actually do to maybe minimize what I would call your operational risk. It's quite interesting that we have a technology that we created called blockchain. It's based on mathematics. It's based on PKI or encryption technology. The technology itself is fairly secure. It has been proven mathematically that it's supposed to establish trust. However, if we are using a technology that is driven to create trust in the transactions that we do, financial, commercial, or otherwise, why do we have so much trouble? What kind of trouble do we have? If we look just at last year, we had over $2 billion hacked out of cryptocurrencies. Now, hacked has many variations and many terms. Maybe it was stolen from exchanges. Maybe it was stolen from your private wallets because you did not properly protect them. Maybe it was stolen because of things like SIM swap, which is not necessarily your responsibility, but because you use it as a way to protect your wallets, you're still vulnerable and exposed to it. Maybe it was stolen because you're not adequately protecting the computers that you're using and are connected to the internet, and they have been victim of something known as cryptojacking, where people actually borrow your electricity and the power of your computers to generate money from themselves. But the issues do not necessarily come just from the hacking itself. Some of the other issues come from governance itself. Same amount of money has actually either been lost or in the process of being lost as a result of governance in litigation. More specifically, if you have looked at Telegram, which raised, I think, 1.7 billion, give or take, is now in limbo, simply because not always doing necessary due diligence or not understanding the governance that applies in various jurisdictions. You cannot be above the law, regardless of the technology that you use. But everything is beyond that. I usually say everything is primarily about the code. So when people introduce blockchain, they say the code will protect you. No. Why the code does not protect you? Because for every 1,000 lines of code, there is one vulnerability. For every 10,000 lines of code, there's one critical vulnerability. What is blockchain? It's code. So yes, the code may actually be fairly secure, but it's only as secure as the people that actually test it. Beyond that, we actually started putting the code not just in the blockchain itself, like it is in Bitcoin blockchain, which is, you can say, blockchain 1.0. When we went to blockchain 2.0, we started creating smart contracts. Guess what? That's code as well. So there is vulnerabilities in that code. People made the mistake of actually copying somebody else's smart contract to create their own. So they inherit the vulnerabilities associated with that code as well. So you have to protect the code. And if you think, when you put this in the context of the system, blockchain is sometimes 3 to 5% of the entire code of your system. So not only you have to protect the code associated with blockchain, but also the remaining parts of the system as well. People also think that exchanges are safes and banks. They are not. They're designed to exchange between two denominations, BTC and maybe dollars or euros, or between various cryptocurrencies, atomic swaps, or other variations of the above. But they are not safes. They are not designed with safes being in mind, which means that if you keep your money in exchanges, it does not matter. It's almost like going to the casino. Eventually, your money will be lost. It is your job to keep your money safe in the wallets, or sometimes we call cold wallets, in which you're actually supposed to store your valuable possessions. But we started introducing with blockchain 2.0 and 3.0 something known as tokenization. The previous panel spent a little bit of time on it, where we take things from the real world and we tokenize them in the electronic world. It means we digitize them, and it actually makes it much easier for you to exchange goods. So you want to buy a building, or you want to buy a piece of a very expensive piece of art, or you want to buy a small part of a very expensive, valuable car. So you tokenize it and you exchange that token as a way to be participating in the value increase of that asset. But the tokenization is only as good as the audit. The fact that you actually own the fractional token of that asset does not actually mean that asset is even there. Does not even mean that asset has not been seized by the government or is not considered to actually be part of some other malpractice in the process. So that really means that you have to protect not just the blockchain tokenization piece, you have to understand the whole ecosystem from end to end to actually be safe. But safety is always in the eye of the beholder. And if you're really serious about safety, you have to protect yourself against three types of people. The first one is what I call the clueless. These are the people that don't do a mistake, but don't actually realize the mistake they have done. Do you know how many bitcoins have been lost because people have lost their private keys? Once it is gone forever. It's just one simple example, but many others the same way. Not protecting adequately your wallets through multimodal biometrics or multi-factor authentication, not just SIM card authentication as an example. The second type of people that are very dangerous to you are what is called the insiders. Now, insiders, these are the people that, for example, would be administrators of the blockchain or might be working in an exchange or otherwise. These are the people that have inside information. They're the ones that, if you give them the chance to do something bad, they will do it. So if you're not adequately protected against those individuals, then again, you're at risk. And finally, hackers. These are people, usually sometimes lazy because they let automated systems do most of the work for them, that scan the internet for vulnerabilities day in, day out. They scan for your wallets, they scan for your exchanges, where you have money, they scan for miners that are connected to the internet and not adequately protected by passwords, and they simply take advantage of the infrastructure that you are not adequately protected. But they have become much smarter than that. They use malware. This malware, through phishing or sophisticated phishing attempts, can easily infect your computers, your email systems, and as a result, they can take over your entire digital life, not just your wallet, which is even more risky as a whole. So how do we go about making our world safer and less risky? The first thing we need to address is an issue known as complexity. The more complex systems that we make with more layers, the more difficult it is to defend them. So, which means that in the blockchain system, it's not just the blockchain that you need to defend. It's all the layers that go from the usage of the blockchain to your private wallet, to the smart contract code, to the applications that use the GUI in which you actually perform the transactions. So complexity is your enemy. You want safety? Make your system simple, easier to understand, test them properly, and then you'll actually be safe. What is also important beyond that? What is the level of acceptable risk for you as an individual? The fact that you have a seat belt does not actually make you safe when you drive a car. Actually, most of you probably got here by car. So the car you drive today not only has a seat belt, it has an airbag, it has traction control system, collision avoidance, ABS, and if you're lucky enough to drive a Tesla, it actually has a smart system as well. But guess what? Even with all those systems combined together, if you do not understand risk, you can still kill yourself because enough rope is there to give you a problem. So you need to have the proper risk reduction strategies in which you eliminate the higher levels of risk that you have, and by doing so, you minimize your exposure to those risks. More important than that, you need to continuously update your assumptions. Most people thought that two-factor authentication was safe. The fact that you receive an SMS. SMSs and SS7 technology was breaking over 5 years ago. So anybody can take over your mobile digital life, and part of taking over your mobile digital life, they can take over your wallet, your email system, your social media, and everything that you use every day. So you need to have multi-factor protection mechanisms to defend yourself in an effective way. There's other technologies that are important. One is things like custody technology. Today, the more smarter exchangers are using custody systems to actually make them safer, so that even if the exchange gets hacked, there's additional protection mechanisms. People are also using insurance as the mechanism to actually protect their wallets. So for example, if you're using today digital banks based in ex-European country, you're protected for the first 100,000 euros of the money being lost, which means that if you have more than that, you better open multiple accounts to reduce your operational risk. But like I said, I'm your seatbelt, and the thing that I can help you is still quite limited. So if you're really serious about security, in today's world, security is a gunfight. You never heard the term, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. What does that really mean? Bring a gun, bring at least 2 guns, bring all your friends that have guns, and then you'll have a little bit more safety in your digital life. This is the short time I had with you. I hope you enjoyed, and looking forward to meeting you later today and this evening as well. Thank you.